Well, hello there, folks. How are you? I hope that I find you very well indeed, and a very warm welcome as usual back to What's for Tea. And for tea tonight, we had this wonderful lasagna, but this one was made in the air fryer. Now, I am a bit late to the game when it comes to air fryers. I've been thinking about getting one for the longest time, and I actually sat down a couple of weeks ago with plans to actually order one. But as I was looking through and scrolling through, I received an email from a company asking, did I want to try one of their air fryers? And I said, yeah, of course I do. So it was just meant to be. So this is it here. It's from a brand called Ultenic, which I've never actually heard of before, but I have put this thing through its paces for the last couple of weeks, and my oven has barely been on since I received this thing. So this is what we're going to use here. We're going to use the actual air fryer drawer, but do make sure you take out the wee rack that's inside. So we're just going to start the meat sauce now. So go over to your cooker, grab a big frying pan, and to that we're going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil and then your minced beef. I would recommend getting a good quality minced beef because it's going to make a big difference in this, and it's not going to be overly greasy. You don't want this swimming in grease, but let this cook for about 5 minutes just until it's lovely and browned all over. And to that we're going to add 1 onion, which I've just finely diced. This is just a medium onion, and also 3 sliced garlic cloves. We love garlic, but if you're not as keen, you can leave it out or add a wee bit less. And also about half a teaspoon of salt, and this is just going to help draw the moisture from your onions and help them sweat down a wee bit quicker. So let this cook for about 5 minutes, just until your onions start to soften, and then we can add in your mushrooms. This is just a handful of bog standard white mushrooms, but you can add whatever mushrooms you prefer. Again, just give them a wee stir around and let those cook for another 5 minutes until they start to get soft. And I'm going to add to this 1 carton of passata. You can add sieved tomatoes or whatever you like. I am using passata, so just squeeze that in and give that a good stir around. And then to that we're going to add 4 tablespoons of tomato puree or tomato paste, whichever you prefer. Give that a good stir through, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. This is just a Schwartz seasoning blend, but you can add again whatever you prefer. I'm just going to give this a wee stir through until it's well combined, and then to that I'm going to add 1.5 cans of these chopped tomatoes, and these are my favourite ones for this kind of thing, but again, use whatever brand you prefer. Then to this I'm going to add about ½ teaspoon of fresh black pepper. Again, you can add as much or as little as you like, and I'm also going to add about ½ tablespoon of sugar as well. This is just going to help counteract any bitterness that there might be in those tomatoes or any acidity. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, but I just put it in just in case. And you want to let this cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. Meanwhile, you can do your white element of the lasagna. So some ricotta cheese, and to that I'm going to add some grated parmesan and also 1 medium free range egg. And you just want to stir these all together. I'm just using a fork just until they're well combined, and this will only take you about 20 seconds. There we go, and you can just set that to the side for the time being. And if your mince is ready, then you're good to go. And I was happy with this. It's thickened up a good bit, but it's still quite saucy. You don't want this bone dry. And the last thing I've done is added in a couple of leaves of basil, and I've just tore those up and thrown those in at the end. So all we have to do now is assemble. So like I said, we are going to be doing this directly in the air fryer drawer, but if you do have a wee rack, make sure you take that out before you start, because that would be a disaster. So you want to put down a wee layer of your meat sauce and the ricotta cheese just to make sure nothing sticks. This is the lasagna sheets that I'm using here. I recommend using the fresh lasagna sheets. You can use the dry pasta, but if you're going to use the dry pasta, you'll need to soak that in boiling water. Make sure it's nice and soft before you start, or it just won't cook properly. So if you can find these lasagna sheets, I would highly recommend using these. So pop down a sheet of your lasagna, and then another ladle of your meat sauce, and then another wee ladle of your ricotta mix, just to make it nice and creamy. On top of that, I'm going to add a handful of grated mozzarella, another layer of those fresh lasagna sheets, and then just keep building it up, just keep repeating your layers, your meat sauce and ricotta. And then I'm going to tear up some basil for the top 2 layers, and then another layer of your mozzarella cheese, and then another layer, and your final layer of the fresh lasagna sheets on top of that. But like I said, you can use the dried stuff, but I would recommend, if you can, use the fresh stuff. And then the final layer of your meat sauce on top of that. Just give it a wee push down with your ladle just to make sure it's nice and even underneath. Really easy. And then your final layer of your ricotta mix as well. And don't worry, if it looks messy, because it's still getting covered up with cheese anyway, and then when you cut it into your squares, you're not going to see all of these layers, what they're like underneath anyway. And then just top the whole thing with some more basil and mozzarella cheese. And I'm trying to show you there, this is a nice deep lasagna. That's a good 2 or 3 inches thick, I would say. It's pretty hard to tell, but it was a nice deep one. So pop that into your air fryer. We're going to give this one 25 minutes on 180°C, just like this. It's all electronic. It's very swish, isn't it? I was really impressed when I turned this one on. But if you're finding that your lasagna is browning too quickly and it's not warm underneath yet, you can cover this with foil halfway through. That's what I done, just to make sure it didn't go too dark on the top, because it was quite dark on the top and it was still kind of lukewarm underneath. So I just covered it up with foil halfway through, and it went nice and warm underneath with an additional maybe 5 minutes. And it cuts really easy as well. I just go in with a fish slice or a fish or a sausage turner, and it will lift out really easily. And the cleanup is really easy as well. It washed brilliantly, and I will show you at the end what it looked like, when I did wash it. And I'm trying to show you the wee layers in there just to show you how cleanly this did actually cut, because on my Facebook page, I posted this on my Facebook page, and someone had made a comment, that's going to be a nightmare to clean. And it really wasn't, but I would tell you, if it was a nightmare, I just popped mine into the dishwasher in the top rack, and it came out spotless. So we had this for our tea, like I said, and we just had a wee bit of Caesar salad on the side, wee bit of lettuce, some parmesan, some croutons, and Caesar dressing. And this was the wee basket here when it came out of my dishwasher. You can obviously do this by hand as well. I don't think, it really, there wasn't much stuck to it at all, if I'm being honest. Super impressed by that. So thank you again to Ultenic for sending me that my way. Much appreciated. And thank you all for watching and leaving your lovely comments. And for those that share the videos as well, like I said, all very much appreciated. And if you are interested in that air fryer, I will leave the information in the description box underneath the video, and a link to Amazon if you want to go and have a wee look at it. And I will catch up with you during the week for another wee recipe or shopping unbagging on Saturday, or even back on Sunday for meals of the week. But whenever you choose to join me again, have a wonderful rest of your day, and bye for now. Bye now.